And one thing we're going to try to do when we can, when it'll work out, I'm anxious to include Clement in these discussions.
Right.
Because we think very highly of him, and we're getting some people are giving us a little flack about that. And they need to understand that we take our friends very seriously, and he is a close friend.
Well, we have a little bit of time. Let's just address that right now, because I know, Kim, we did ring his office, and we're going to try to get him on today's program, but he's on his way to Israel at the moment to take care of some prior engagements. But let me ask some questions that are just coming forward.
Right.
First of all, Kim is a fellow of a background referred to as the prophet Kim Clement, and over
he's
30
adopting
year
an Old Testament label for a New Testament gift. Fine,
right.
okay.
And he's had about a 35 year history of connection with various ministries and styles of ministries. But tell us a little bit about the background. How did he first get in contact with us?
Well, he wrote me a letter, I think 2, 3, 4 page letter, a lengthy letter, where he bared his soul. And he said he had in his career he had disparaged eschatology and taught a lot of things that he now realizes are not true. And he dispatched his wife to do some research, and she really did some research and came to the conclusion that we had material that he really felt positive towards. And he was anxious to repair his errors. He feels he had mistaught his own people.
Now that's quite an admission. Stop for a minute. Just think about the fact that this is an individual who is no small reputation. You know, first of all, contacted you personally, and really was just expressing a sense of gratitude that he felt that you were helping him repair mistakes in his own. And not went beyond that, didn't he? He went beyond just saying thank you very much for your good teaching, Chuck. You're helping me back. He all of a sudden invited you to his church.
He really rolled out the carpet for both of us to go with first class air from New Zealand there to his place. As we got to know him and his family and his people, because we were there for some time together, I was stunned at the reality of this guy. I think I can say candidly, of all the people I've met in ministry, he's a refreshing change with integrity that I haven't seen outside the boardroom before. I've been very troubled I had a 30-year career in the corporate boardrooms, and I've had a 30-year career roughly in the Christian side. And I've developed some very cynical attitudes. On the Christian side, they're not bad people, they're just untrained. They have no grasp of what the word fiduciary means. They generally have no grasp of the sanctity of a commitment. These are the basic elements of character in the top echelons in the corporate world that I was spoiled with, I was used to. He's the first guy I've met that I just saw as having backbone, integrity, forthrightness, and very straightforward, very candid about himself.
But also there was a disarming humility with him.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
He was really willing to not only admit privately in letters to you and in private conversations, but he stood before his own congregation and said, I've been teaching you wrong in the area of a lot of prophetic issues. And I remember one of the meetings, he said, I'd like to sit in the audience with you, and he introduced you as his teacher. He says, we're gonna all learn this stuff and get corrected together. I thought that was quite remarkable.
And his wife too, both of them, they really, and it is a superficial look. I get the impression that Jane has really gone through virtually everything we published. Intensely, carefully, with notes, and they're serious researchers. But it was his character and personal integrity that just stunned me. As I watched the reality of it in his family and also with the whole team that's there. In fact, their people, our people really just coupled. It was just a delightful experience.
It's that whole issue of add to your faith virtue, isn't it? When we talk about
2 Peter chapter 1, verse 5, it lists 7 things. Add to your faith these 7 things. And what's fascinating about that list is instruction. Most of the things you think of are down the list a bit. The first one is moral, is virtue, which doesn't rattle when we change it in the King James English, but it's moral conduct. It always has puzzled me how we can have people who call themselves Christians who aren't honest. They shake hands on a deal, and it doesn't matter. They have the integrity of a commitment. I grew up in a business world where that was the primary ethic. I saw companies created without a scrap of paper being signed. Phone calls and committed by people who could rely on a verbal commitment. And even if it turns out to be unprofitable, they knew they'd stick with it. And anyway, the point is that I saw in him a character that I hadn't seen in general in the Christian community. And it's not they're bad people; it's just they're not trained.
Right.
They don't have that the consciousness of the simplicity of a commitment and commitments. And of course he didn't just pay our way to get there. He put us up in the Four Seasons, which is as you may know, a top of the line hotel thing. In fact, I kidded him. I says 3 seasons would have been plenty, and we were being facetious, of course.
Yes.
But we came out of that experience where I openly call him my friend, and that means that I'll back him even if he's wrong.
Yes.
He's a friend.
Well, and I think that there's two things there that we need to really focus on, and one is that we're not saying that we stand behind any person's specific ministry. We're not promoting whether or not we agree with every single doctrine he teaches. In the same way, I can pretty well be assured that they would not necessarily stand behind everything that you or I would say.
Sure.
But nonetheless, what you're underscoring here was there was a level of integrity, humility, and a willingness to be taught and embrace in brotherly love that we were generally impressed with. And you make reference to the way in which he treated us. I found it fascinating that we questioned him on that. We thought, this is sort of over the top, and we didn't want to make him feel like either A, we expected it, or give him a sense that we were being bought off. But the truth of the matter is, he made a very interesting statement to us. He says, I want to treat people now like I was never treated when I was out on the road. And he really went above and beyond to show you how much he respected you and your ministry. And we appreciated it, because I think that just simply put some substance behind the words, in the sense that he took very seriously the fact that he wanted to repair the illiteracy in his own life and in the lives of those who have been listening to him and following him. And we were profoundly impressed and blessed, really, that door would be open. But to some degree, that will address some of the people that are questioning us on this issue. That really it is about that issue of just agreeing to enjoy brotherly love with one another.
It's fine for people to ask questions. I'm always puzzled by those that seem to want to sow discord among the brethren. And I see some of that here and there. People that are sort of looking for an excuse to sow discord. And I think that's tragic. Anyway, I just...
I absolutely agree. And I think
people that know the relationship I have with Hal Lindsey, that goes back 50 years, I guess.
And you guys disagree, don't you?
We disagree on things, but he's my friend. People have learned the hard way, you don't talk ill of Hal around me.
Right.
Because he's my friend.
Right. Right.
And there's some very amusing anecdotes about that, but the fact that he has his detractors, fine.
Yeah.
And I don't give them any quarter.
Right.
Why? Because Hal's my friend. And I feel the same way about Kim.
Right.
You see, so these are people that are family.
Right.